Hi everyone, this is Antoine Cadeau-Wood from SAP Experts, and I am here with Josh Riff of Blue Harbors Consulting. Blue Harbors specializes in showing clients some of the little-known functionalities inside their SAP ECC system to get more out of that system. So Josh, we were talking a little bit earlier about how ECC has a lot of functions that customers can actually go for years without actually knowing that it's there. And in fact, they've gone as far as to build third-party software on top of that system to do things that the system could do to begin with.
That's right.
And we were talking about shipping as one example. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Well, a few people realized that when they bought their ECC system, they also bought a shipping engine as well that's built into the ECC component. And so one of the things we do is go in and implement this shipping solution for customers. And we found that it's useful for most customers. It contains the ability to ship high volume as well as sort of complex shipping scenarios, so dangerous goods, hazardous goods, international shipping, and supports all the main services that these carriers offer.
So most of the large shippers will recognize the interface with SAP.
That's right. All the carriers work with a technology called web services, and we found that all the main carriers support this. So DHL, UPS, FedEx, USPS all support this technology.
And so what were you, when you were going into these client sites, what were you finding that they were doing instead of simply using ECC?
Right, so typically there was a separation between the ECC system and their shipping solution. Sometimes there would be an interface built between the two, which was problematic and often had errors in the communication. But often it was just a manual process of rekeying the shipping information into their third-party application and then literally dumping the tracking number into an Excel spreadsheet and cutting and pasting that back into ECC. So it was definitely not an ideal shipping solution.
So kind of on the same subject of ECC functions that you didn't know you had, you're also talking about how the ECC warehouse management system actually supports decentralized warehouses.
That's right. So within the logistics component, there is an interface called the Decentralized Warehouse Management interface. And this allows you to connect your ECC system, and it acts as basically an ERP component where you can do the basic ERP activities, create purchase orders, sales orders, financials, and connect this to a WMS system. This WMS system could be another ECC system or a third-party application that's specialized for warehouse management.
So, at this conference we've been hearing quite a bit about extended warehouse management, and part of what you've been talking to me about is how you can actually extend the WMS quite a bit without going all the way into EWM. So what sort of in your experience seems to be the point where a company is almost forced to go toward EWM? What sort of functionality is the WMS not going to handle?
Well, certainly the warehouses that rely heavily on automated equipment, automated conveyors, for example, that have a warehouse control unit typically that's running this equipment. They're also called black boxes. ECC WM doesn't do a particularly good job working with these more complicated interfaces, and EWM, on the other hand, was really built to support that kind of connectivity. So that would be an example of a case when you would want to consider going with EWM as a solution.
And then finally, you were talking about some very cool things that you can do with ECC's web services.
Yeah.
A little bit to do with cold chain for starters, and then a little bit to do with weather also.
Yep, sure. So for example, in the pharma industry, it's a requirement to create what are called pedigree documents or track and trace documents, basically showing a chain of custody through the entire supply chain of who's owned the product, right up until the point that the customer buys the drugs. And there are third-party cloud-based solutions that create these pedigrees for you. And so while ECC itself doesn't support e-pedigree functionality, you can go beyond the wall of ECC and talk to these cloud-based solutions using web services and enhance functionality that isn't standard delivered within ECC. Another example, as you mentioned, would be shipping a cold chain product where it's important to be aware of the temperature at the destination, for example, so you know how many ice bricks and gel packs you need to put in the shipping carton to ensure the product doesn't spoil in transit. And web services functionality within SAP can be used to do a punch out to weather service bureaus that will publish this information real time on the internet. And using web services, you can send out the zip code of the ship to party and immediately get the high temperature at the ship to location. And then you can use this information to figure out what your pack out formula should be. How many ice packs and gel bricks will go in the box.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Well, Josh Riff, thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you, Antoine.
I'm Antoine Cadeau-Wood of SAP Experts, and we're here at SCM 2013. Thanks for watching.